Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hey, YouTube.
YouTube life.
Bookers.
It's the Bookers again,
It's Paul. I'm Paul from the Spinecrackers
and I'm Gabe from the Spinecrackers podcast.
podcast.
I don't know what Paul's talking about. Pod.
It's a short. It's a short term for podcast. I don't know if you heard it before. It's just like a shortened version of it.
It's new to me.
It's like a nickname.
Oh, okay, cool. That's hip. So I can see you now, Paul, because I got glasses.
Yeah, that's great. I'm so glad you can see. You haven't been able to see for like 3 years, apparently.
Dude, I needed glasses so bad for so long. Well, and that's the thing. I had glasses, and then I lost them, and then I was poor, and so I didn't get any more. So
That's what you do.
that's how you do it.
And you wait until you're 3 feet away from whatever street sign you're about to be at.
Yep.
And there's hope that you were guessing correctly what it said.
Very safe to drive like that for
Yeah.
like 5 years. It was definitely illegal. It's definitely on my license that I need to have glasses, and I didn't.
I'm turning you in.
Too late. I got them now.
I'm calling the police and telling them you drove illegally for 5 years.
Nope, they can't do anything about it. Statute of limitations, bitch.
Yeah, maybe you're right. You're in the
So
clear.
this is episode what? 4?
Seeing clear in the clear.
Seeing clear in the clear. Episode 4, right?
Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah, I think this is episode 4. Season 1, episode 4 of
you're right.
of the Murakami Minisodes, where we review Haruki Murakami's short stories, because we're going to be reading one of his fat novels, Killing the Commander, Master and Commander, Far Side of the World,
Yep.
by Haruki Commander, and
Murdering the captain.
Murdering the Captain, Bluebeard, for the podcast in 2 weeks now, right?
I know, 2 weeks.
Have you? Well, you already read it. Matt's going to be screwed, man.
I think he started it.
Did he start
told
it?
me-
Okay.
He told me he started it. Yeah.
Cool. Because last time I talked to him, I don't think he had started it, or last time I talked to him about it, anyway. Anyway, so we're starting with this collection, Men Without Women, and we've already read the first 3 stories, right?
Yep. And once again, I have the Haruki himself behind me.
The beautiful,
posing for us.
the beautiful man, the beautiful Murakumer,
Beautiful man.
the famous runner.
Beautiful red shorts.
You love to see it. You love to see the red shorts.
Yeah.
He's
on display.
He's goals, honestly.
He is.
This is what peak performance looks like.
I think this was actually for like a Sports Illustrated.
I think it was like for a running magazine.
Yeah. He talked about it in his memoir. We already talked about this though.
Okay, lame. Retread. We need
back up.
we need new content, baby. So the new content for today is that we're talking about the 4th story in this collection, which is called Scheherazade, which is of course a reference to the famous character from the 1001 Arabian Nights, who she was. It was like a king whose first wife cheated on him, then he had her killed, and then like married a new woman every day and then killed them the next morning, so they couldn't.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
It's pretty fucked up.
Have you read it? I
I've read
it. I read about it for this episode, but
I've read excerpts of it, but it's been years, and certainly not the whole thing.
Is it long? Is it like 1,001 pages?
I think it's long. I really don't know. Let's see if we can get a look see here. 1001 Arabian Nights length. Google. I don't know. There's 200 stories in the text, but I don't know how long the stories
Are
are.
they all the same story? Is it just like him murdering his next wife
Well,
over and over?
No, the whole thing is that Scheherazade is, in order to not be killed, she keeps his attention by telling him a new story every night so he doesn't kill her the next day, because he wants to keep hearing her stories.
Okay.
So
that
that's
does
like,
relate to this.
which is basically what happens in this story, except she's not gonna die.
Yeah.
All right. So what's this story about, Paul?
I've done it every
Have
time
you?
so
Okay.
far.
All right. I
Yeah,
didn't know.
so you can
Okay.
go.
I don't know. I forgot.
I wasn't. I was. That was a little too abrupt. I'm just
Whoa.
saying.
Whoa.
You could go.
All right.
I'm not flipping out.
So, dude, chill.
I gotta chill.
Chill. Too much coffee.
Yeah, I'm drinking 2 coffees right now.
Dude, you're double fisting coffee.
I really am. One's
That's
iced,
gnarly.
one's hot.
Ooh, that's that. Nice. That's like those half frozen Lunchables, or it's like a Hot Pocket. It's like super hot and frozen at the same time.
It's like a Go-Gurt that half of it froze
Oh,
and half of it's
God,
lukewarm.
that's nasty. So this story is about a guy, Habara, is the name of the main male character, who, for unknown reasons, is housebound. He lives alone in his house, and there's no possibility of him leaving. And we don't know why. We don't know if he's, for some reason, like imprisoned there, or if he's physically incapable of leaving, or what. We don't know what the situation is, but he can't leave his house. And he's visited periodically by a woman who does things that you might like associate with someone who takes care of like elderly people or something, although we know he's not particularly elderly. You know, she brings him groceries, she brings him magazines, books that he wants to read, she takes care of shit around the house, blah 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 blah. But they also have sex every time she comes.
Yeah.
And it's implied a couple times that them having sex is in some way part of her job. It's like part of her professional duties, which again, no context, no like explanation, which I think is interesting. This, for me, this is one of the first kind of stories where we get a bit of a hints of like Murakami's weirdness.
Yeah.
But maybe we can talk more about that. But anyway, so she comes over, they have sex, and then she tells him stories about her past, her childhood, etc., after they have sex, similar to the real, or the, I mean, I guess not real, but the original Scheherazade, who did the same thing with the Arabian king. And then she leaves to go back to a family, which we think, like, to cook dinner for her family every night. And that's basically the whole story. It's just a recounting of a couple of their meetings where she tells him some weird and interesting and cool stories, and that's it.
Yeah. She ends up focusing on one story in particular, I would say, train or line of thought, and that is when she was in high school, she had a crush on this kid in her class, and she ended up being kind of obsessed with him, like Helga.
Helga Pataki. If you listen to our new episode that's coming out in next week, there's more Helga Pataki talk.
Much more, yeah. I actually feel bad about using that reference a little bit after that.
I know.
But she ends up sneaking into this kid's house, and just like doing creepy stuff in there. Like, and she ends up kind of like getting obsessed with the break-in act. At one point, she breaks in and like plants one of her tampons in his drawer in like the back where he may or may not find it, and she leaves like 2 or 3 strands of her hair.
Well, her whole thing is that she doesn't want to be just like a simple thief, right? So she feels like if she leaves some kind of token or something for the things she takes from this kid's house that she's broken into, then like she's not actually stealing anything. She's just like trading.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a very strange way of thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very creepy.
Yes. So what does she take? She takes like a pencil, and then she takes like one of his shirts, or is it the other way around?
No, she takes a pencil first, and then she keeps taking pencils. I think she like uses
for a while,
and then she'll go and like take another one, and then I think the last time she goes in there, she takes a used shirt.
Yeah.
And
then that tips off the mom, who changes the lock, right? And then she can't get in anymore. Yeah.
Which she kind of like saw coming because the mom like was she's like a clean freak and knows where everything is. But yeah, I mean, basically she tells a little bits and pieces of this particular story after they have sex, and she kind of like leaves him wanting more.
Right.
And she's described a lot like the original Scheherazade as being just like a really good storyteller. So I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing to like. She just seems like the actual Scheherazade from the 1,001 Nights or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She's just like this type of person that is good at telling stories.
And she does it after they have sex.
Yeah, and she's like trying to keep him intrigued for whatever reason.
I think it's. I got the impression that it was like that it was also more for her for some reason too. That it's it's very sort of cathartic for her to relive. Like for example, when she tells him the story of her stealing the T-shirt, that's like the only time that they ever have sex twice. Like it like turns her on almost, like remembering the remembering the memory of the T-shirt, and she asks him if they can have sex again, which is very unusual again because it's implied that this is sort of like a professional obligation that she has, and then it's like the best sex that they've had and all that, but it's because she's perversely like remembering this weird thing that she did when she stole this kid's shirt and sniffed it.
Yeah. I felt like this story was more about her than about the man.
Mm-hmm.
It was more like women without men in this particular story.
Yeah.
I did want to say, I think that I've heard about people that, or like they thought about legalizing something like this happening. Or they've talked about it, like people that are bedridden or something, like could potentially have and like can have sex or can't meet people, that this might be an actual legal thing people talked about doing.
Yeah, it's been I don't know how seriously anyone's proposed it, but it's been it's been conceptually floated in various contexts that like people could, it could be like a government program to like get people who are like like invalids or whatever who can't have sex normally to like get them some sex, which is whatever. So that could be what's going on here. Again, we don't really know.
Yeah. We don't really know. Yeah.
Which I think is interesting. And there's like a few moments that kind of hint. It almost like feels like a sort of like, not like a dystopian thing, but like that he's confined in this. And when he writes about the house, it's a capital H house, which is weird. There's no reason for it to be capital H. And that this person is like assigned to him in some professional capacity as like a case agent or something like that. And we never know her real name. He just calls her Scheherazade throughout the whole thing. And she never tells him her real name.
So all around kind of surreal weirdness happening. Yeah.
Very weird sort of context for the story for sure. Yeah. And then the other memory that she tells him about, besides this episode where she like falls head over heels in love with this kid in high school and breaks into his house and stuff, she calls herself the love burglar, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah. I just like the word burglar.
Burglar is just one of the funniest words. It really is.
It's such a funny word. It's such a poor word to describe what like a robbery is. It's too
burglar.
Cute. And it just makes me think of The Hobbit, honestly.
The Hobbit?
Yeah, dude. The Smog, you know, like the dwarves, they hire a burglar.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah, Gandalf calls Bilbo like the burglar. You need a burglar to help steal the Arkenstone or whatever. I'm a hobbit.
Paul is a hobbit head. We will. We may eventually review The Hobbit on the show. Just kidding. We're not going to. But anyway, the other memory that she sort of talks about in the story is this really weird, almost like she describes it as a past life, that she's remembering a past life that she had as a fucking lamprey, which is this weird little like fish that lives on the bottom of other fish, like sucking on them. It's not a leech, but it's like it lives kind of like a leech like existence. And she describes like sitting at the bottom of the ocean or in the bottom of a lake or whatever, looking up and seeing these fish pass over her, and I think it's like a trout that she talks about the most. And then she like latches onto it, and she like has vivid memories of this as if it were a real thing.
Ends too.
Wait, hold on. Sorry, you accidentally got muted for a second. What were you say?
The story ends too with the main dude,
Habara.
basically thinking that he's a lamprey too. And he's sort of like hypnotized into thinking about her dream as his own.
Right. Yeah, he kind of gets sucked into the story that way.
Yeah.
And there's
that was very strange also.
I thought some of that writing about the lamprey memories was like so it was beautiful. I thought it was like so like evocative, and I have a couple paragraphs that I'll read. Like she's talking about her memory as a lamprey, and he's asking about kind of what it was like and blah blah blah. And she says, "Still, it felt pretty neat at the bottom of the lake, upside down with my mouth fastened on a rock, watching the fish pass overhead. I saw a really big snapping turtle once, too, a humongous black shape drifting past like the evil spaceship in Star Wars, and big white birds with long, sharp beaks that targeted the fish like gangs of assassins. From below, they looked like white clouds floating across the blue sky. We lampreys didn't have to worry about them, though we were safe down among the weeds." And then he kind of asks her about like the memory and whatever, and he goes, "What do lampreys think about?" And she says, "Lampreys think very lamprey-like thoughts about lamprey-like topics in context that's very lamprey-like. There are no words for those thoughts. They belong to the world of water. It's like when we were in the womb. We were thinking things in there, but we can't express those thoughts in the language we use out here, right?" And I just thought it was like so weird and just kooky but also very evocative.
Yeah. Well, then she goes on to talk about like how she has memories of being in the womb.
She's like Dolly.
Dolly had memories of that?
He claimed to.
Claimed to?
Yeah.
Claimed to. Sounds fake. Sounds fake and made up.
Definitely sounds fake. I'll take things that didn't happen for 1,000, Alex.
So, was this your favorite story so far, or like anything?
I kind of want to read the last paragraph about the lampreys.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Or do you want to read it?
I'll read it.
Yeah, because I think this is kind of where he gets like sucked. She leaves, and he's kind of feeling like alone in this house that he can't leave for some reason that we don't understand.
Yeah. You want me to just read the actual last one?
Yeah. Or if there's somewhere you think that you should start before.
No, I'll just read the last one. Habera closed his eyes and stopped thinking of Scheherazade. Instead, he thought of lampreys, of jawless lampreys fastened to rocks, hiding among the water weeds, swaying back and forth in the current. He imagined that he was one of them, waiting for a trout to appear, but no trout passed by, no matter how long he waited. Not a fat one, not a skinny one, no trout at all. Eventually the sun went down, and his surroundings were enfolded in deep darkness.
End of story.
End of story.
It's great. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
I thought it was... this definitely was my favorite of the stories so far, I think. Both just because it was very, like... I don't know. Like I said, again, the writing was very evocative. Like, it really worked for me. Like, the descriptions of them in bed, like, I could really picture it. And her memories of being a kid in school and breaking into this house and the thrill and like being in his room. She gives these very descriptive memories of being in this person's room and laying in his bed, and then the lamprey stuff. I don't know. It just clicked for me in a really nice way.
I'm glad you like. I really like this one too. I mean, one reason I really like this one was the open-endedness of the storytelling. Like she basically leaves the story after saying that she never went back into the house because the mom, moved the key,
right,
and she wasn't allowed to come back in. But then she before she leaves Habara's house, she said like, well, I did end up meeting him like years later,
right,
and I'll let you know
next time.
But she never comes back,
or at least we don't see it.
I thought that I read that she like didn't ever come back.
Oh, does he say that was there a moment
like it was the last time he ever saw her? But maybe I'm making that up.
Let's see. You might be right. I don't know.
I don't know either. I should know.
Well, he talks. He. I don't think we know that for sure, but he talks about at the end that like this, and again, this gets to the weirdness of this whole relationship that we don't really understand, like what the nature of their relationship is exactly.
Yeah,
But he
yeah.
talks about at the end, towards the end, Habara went to bed early that night and thought about Scheherazade. Perhaps he would never see her again. That worried him. The possibility was just too real. Nothing of a personal nature, no vow, no implicit understanding held them together. Theirs was a chance relationship created by someone else and might be terminated on that person's whim. And so it's like, what the fuck is he talking about? Like, who is that? Like, who, again, like who, what, on whose whim has their relationship been created other than their own? So it's like, it's almost, again, it's like she was assigned to him for some reason, and she could be at any moment unassigned or reassigned or whatever.
Or she has a choice to not be assigned.
Right. So,
But either way, we don't get the next chapter of her story.
yep.
And it gave me a sense of dread. Like he becomes this lamprey in his thoughts and feels like completely alone. The sun goes down. He's just engulfed in silence and misery. And,
Yeah.
very evocative ending, I thought. Just like sad. Definitely men without women at the end.
Yep. Yeah, definitely at the end. But I think, but I agree with you. I think the rest of the text is more about her. It's about her sort of, I don't know, her memory and her like sense of self. And there's like a real, that moment where she asks him to have sex again after she tells him that memory is like, I don't know. It was very sad to me. Like that was kind of like the first, for some reason that was like the crest of the wave of her life, like the high point. And it's like, that's how she wants to remember.
Yeah, that was sad. I hated that. I don't like those sort of thoughts when someone's like in their late 30s or 40s and they have like their best memory when they were 17.
I think we're supposed to think she's even potentially older than that. I thought she was
really?
potentially even in her like 50s or definitely like late 40s.
Oh,
But I'm not sure. We don't know.
Sure.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Well, so what did you think about this one compared to the other ones? This one was definitely a shift, I think. Again, it has some of that Murakami weirdness, which the other ones did not really have. They were much more straightforward. And then I think the other thing for me was that the other stories, the first three stories, are much more. They were much more dudes rock. They were much more like, focused on the male characters, which makes sense for the title of the book.
Yeah, totally. But I don't think that takes away from how good this story. I think it was my favorite story of the collection so far. I think everything you said about it, I totally agree too. I like the open-endedness in particular with this one. But yeah, the writing was definitely beautiful and strange, and there was some surreal elements to it, which is one of my favorite parts about Murakami. So yeah, I think this one will probably score a little higher for me.
Should we Should we score it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you have any other final concluding thoughts about it or anything like that? I think we.
No, not really.
Hell yeah.
It's just good.
This is a good one.
Good story. Good book.
Yeah.
Good little book.
I wonder if I was just trying to think about like what the meaning of the lamprey is as an animal, because like it's kind of interesting that like, because I was thinking about.
I'm gonna look it up. I don't really know what it looks like.
It looks like a weird little here. I think I have a picture of it open. No, I don't. But
Kind of looks like a worm.
yeah, it's like a little like worm, but it's a. Oh, are they extinct?
It's teeth.
No, they're still. Yeah, it's got teeth. It's like kind of like a leech
it's
thing.
disgusting.
Yeah, they're really weird. They are. I think they are fish, right? Anyway, yeah, they're fish, but they don't have any jaws. Their teeth are on like suckers like this, and they go.
It looks like the pit in on Tatooine,
Yeah, the Sarlacc.
the Sarlacc pit.
Come on, don't get it twisted, dude. Up your Star Wars knowledge.
I'm bad at words
Um,
and terms.
but I was wondering like what the significance of her having the memory of being a lamprey was. Like, is it sort of like the lamprey? Because the lamprey is kind of like I don't think they're like technically a parasite, but they eat sort of sort of secretly and sneakily, like from underneath other fish. And that's kind of what she was doing emotionally with this other kid who had no idea that she liked him, had no idea that she was breaking into his house and like stealing his things and like getting her sort of like emotional sustenance from doing that. Like, so she was almost like this person that she created in her mind, and her vision of him was like a sort of the trout, and then she was, you know, eating him emotionally that way, like a lamprey.
Yeah, I think she totally was. I mean,
Metaphors. What are
metaphor. Didn't she also say that she like chewed on the pencil? Did we talk about that?
they? Yeah, she like ate. She like loved like sucking on it and chewing on it. Yeah.
So that adds to the lamprey metaphor too. She physically actually did potentially eat some of his sustenance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Weird and good.
Emotional lamprey person.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because thinking back to the previous story, An Independent Organ, where we talked about how the character in that story, whose name I forget, the doctor, Tokai, we talked last time about how Tokai sort of was emotionally anorexic, like not getting enough sustenance, and eventually like literally starved himself to death because of that. And so it's interesting that there's another sort of like metaphor of emotional sustenance as like physically eating. You know what I mean? Like she's the sort of the lamprey metaphor here versus the like anorexia metaphor in the previous story, for emotional sustenance.
And it sounds like a lot like how the second story was kind of a riff on the first story. You can kind of say that this is another riff from the previous story. It's like another way of thinking about emotionally eating.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. Yeah, this book is definitely...
Both are unhealthy, I would say.
Emotionally eating or eating emotionally.
No. Probably both there, too.
Both. So yeah,
I just think she probably didn't. It was probably not a good way to go about her feelings for this kid.
Yeah, definitely. It's sort of like a weird, like emotional parasitism.
Yeah.
Which is certainly not healthy. And yeah, but yeah, I think you're also right that this book is definitely becoming kind of like a series of jazz solos. Like it's like they're all riffing off of each other and picking up on certain things that the previous story left off on, and blah 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 blah, and calling back to one another in various ways. So yeah. I'm enjoying it. All right, what would you give this story out of 5?
Probably a 4.3.
Whoa, God, you loved it.
It was good.
Yeah, it was good. I forget what I gave all the other stories, but I think I like this one the most. I think this is like a high 3. It's like a 3.87.
Nice.
I enjoyed it quite a bit.
I'm not as like harsh with my ratings, I think, with shorter stories.
Yeah.
If I like it, it's going to be above a 4. But I mean, I think I give the last couple like 3.5s. So I don't know what I'm talking about.
It makes sense though. Cuz you like this one more.
I like this one more. It's got a higher score.
Like it more, higher score. That's our motto.
More, higher score.
That's our new motto here. Like it more, higher score.
Like it less, not the best.
Exactly. All right, well, hey, everybody out there in YouTube land, if you like this video, we should have said this at the beginning, but we didn't, so here we are. If you like it, thumbs it up, give it a thumbs up, put your thumb up it, and subscribe to the...
Your thumb up it.
No, don't do that. Subscribe to the channel, listen to our podcast, the Spine Crackers podcast, where we do long-form, 2 hour plus deep dives into novels every week. And every week, baby. And check out our Patreon, where we upload additional content, additional reviews, bookshelf tours, stuff like that. And follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever. We're around. We out here.
Yep, we're cracking.
We're cracking, baby.
Cracking on.
Keep on cracking on. And thanks for listening. And any last words here, Paul?
No.
All right, bye.